want to hit harder serves and you want to be able to do that over a longer period of time, think 3 sets, you've got to stop listening to one of the wrongest pieces of advice that is still around for the serve. Push the hip forward. Push your front hip. If you're right-hander, it would be your left forward, and it should come over the baseline. That is the wrongest piece of advice that is still going around, and I see it all the time on YouTube, on Instagram, everywhere. Now, I was taught that, and that is literally 40 years ago. And the idea was that if you push your front hip out, you kind of resemble a bow. And everybody knows when we kind of load that bow, it makes it really fast when you're then shooting that arrow out. So the idea, I guess, was the same. It was wrong then, and it is still wrong now. And 40 years ago, we just didn't have the cameras, the knowledge in biomechanics to think anything else. But the myth really, or the wrong cue, that you have to push your front hip out and thereby you load off the front foot, has been overturned, kicked out by the leading experts in biomechanics. So what should you be doing instead if you want to have a good serve that you can replicate over a 3-setter? How fast, how hard you can serve is defined by how quickly and effectively you can load your back hip and explode up and out into the serve. And if you're doing that correctly, your left hip, for me as a right-hander, will shift forward. But in my loading position, I still have most of my weight on the back foot. So I'm not doing this. I'm coming from my back foot right here. This is where I'm getting my acceleration up and out. And the way that you can work on that, both your hip and your shoulder want to turn down and back. So now my elbow and my hip, if I had a clock face here with this being 6 o'clock, points more towards a 7 o'clock. And you see really, really good servers exacerbate, or should I say improve that, by stepping over even more. Think about Pete Sampras, for instance. So a great way to work on that is actually to start with single leg squats. So all I'm doing right now, you see I have almost no weight on my front foot, is here to dip down. And that is all I can stabilize. If I got any further down, I couldn't stabilize, meaning my leg would buckle. I would also probably spend too much time down here bouncing, and it would cost me too much energy to explode out. So whatever you can do here is basically how low you load. Okay, Erica is going to help me out here with a couple more of the drills that you can do. So what you want to work on is, without a ball or with the ball, is to load down and back. And now you have pretty much no weight on your front foot, and just find out how deep and how far you can turn. What is your range? Yep. Make sure your head stays over your center of gravity. And see how you're kind of having to wobble a little bit? So maybe reduce that, right? So that you're not having to kind of sway in your knee buckles. There we go. There we go. Yes. Good. So another drill to really feel that load down and back is use a slightly weighted ball. This is about 2 pounds. And what you want to work on is to get down and back into your loading position, which means my left shoulder, for me as a righty, left shoulder is over my right, and my left hip is over my right hip. And if I'm loading down and back and really try to get more coil, I can feel that my weight is predominantly on my back foot. And from here, I'm trying to really engage this part. Boom, up. So I'm pushing the ball up here because eventually when I'm hitting, I'm having the reverse. Shoulder over shoulder, hip over hip. Yeah, and you're trying to throw as high as you can. Good. Okay, so if I may, you really want to load down and back, right? So if I'm pulling you here, do you feel it in your leg now?
Yeah.
Okay, and from there on out, as fast and as dynamically as possible. Good. So what you want to work on is not accelerating crazy with your arm, but you want to load down and back and really focus on this part here, right? So you're driving the hip down and back and come out here, and that should take care of the rest of your body because it's the lower part of the kinetic chain. Yes, good. Think about up and forward, not just forward. If you think about the serve being like a pitch, then that's also a disc belt myth. You are actually really trying to keep your upper body side on. So as I'm serving, I'm trying to keep my chest bone facing sideways as long as possible. And of course, that's a lot easier if I already have some good coil here. So you want to go from the action of down and back to the opposite motion, the reaction, and that's up and out. One other thing you want to be mindful of is that your toss needs to be in front, yes, but not excessively so. Unless you have the strength and the explosiveness that, for instance, a Riley Opelka has, you should not toss the ball that far in front because you're going to end up chasing it. You're not going to have the dynamics to get up and out into the ball. And again, you will have to rotate open to chase that ball. So ideally for a flat serve, slice serve, about a foot, foot and a half. And on the kick serve, yes, you can bring it in a little bit closer, but you should still drive up and out into the court, and when you're done with your serve, you want to land inside the court. Now, because my shoulder and my elbow give me trouble a whole lot, one of the reasons why I had to retire, it's like I have to focus a whole lot on making the other body parts do the work if I still want to get some good serves in. And you saw that I don't necessarily get lift, because I'm just not putting as much energy into it. But the serve still has enough pop that I would be pretty happy with it for a first serve. So use your body correctly and definitely don't push the hip out. If you want more coaching, if you want exclusive content that I'm not publishing anywhere else, go and check out my Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you get early access to all the videos that I'm posting on YouTube, plus exclusive content. And if you upgrade to Grand Slam level, you'll join me and a bunch of tennis friends every month for a Zoom coaching call. So check out my Patreon.